Hello and welcome to a special Comedy Workshop Celebrity Q&A episode. You've seen him on America's Got Talent, The Tonight Show with Jimmy Kimmel Live. He's a writer and producer of television game shows. Currently on the air are The Chase on ABC and Beat Shazam on Comedy Central, two of my personal favorites. So today we're going to be asking him some questions. Welcome to the large rectangle. It's J Chris Newberg.
Hello.
Hey, so we're gonna get right to the fast round here tonight, and
Okay.
we are gonna. I wanted to ask you. This has been on my mind, and I'm dying to know. So, The Chase. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's an amazing game show on ABC. It features an incredible group of trivia all-stars, and they are competing against a group of 3 individuals who are trying to beat the bank. So originally you started with a lineup of like Jeopardy, top Jeopardy talent, and now you've recently introduced this character of the Beast. And I was wondering what's the benefit of introducing a heel into the, or it seems, or this new character? Why? What's up with that?
I mean, that's a decision much above my pay grade. I think they're just trying to mix it up, and I think, it's like it's just trying to get a new angle that pops. I mean, season 1, it was cool because Jeopardy was so popular. Do the goats of Jeopardy. Then season 2, it's just like, let's up the ante. Let's take the original guy who was the first one to do it, bring him on, and it offers some fodder for the commentary that they give each other.
That's a fun part of the show. There's
Mm-hmm.
great rivalries in that show.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, asking a question in the Q&A, we've got Lachlan.
Hi, thanks for doing this. My
Sure.
question is, to what extent is your comedy kind of you doing comedy just the way you want to do it versus it having been massaged by agents or mentors or bookers or what you think the industry wants?
That's a great question. I don't think about it like that anymore. I think that you approach comedy. It depends what your intent is. If your intent is to get on television, there's no necessarily massaging of material. It's like you can't do dirty material on television. You have to do clean stuff. So if there are people who are familiar with what it takes to get on to a specific program or format, you absolutely can and should take their advice. That's something that you want to do. But I don't write jokes for the opinion of, it's very rare. A manager, an agent of mine will be like, send me your jokes. I want to punch them up or whatever. I don't see that ever happening.
Okay, thanks. Do you have you evolved? How much? I'm just trying to get a sense of how you just kind of do what you want to do versus any kind of influence from sort of outside outside of you.
Well, it's not the romantic, exciting. I do what I want. I'm an outlaw. There's no there's no holding me down. It's just a question of, I made decisions in my life to do what I want, either poorly or successfully, versus not doing what I want very well. And it's just something I enjoy. It's just like, I'll write a joke that I want to write when I want to write it. And some of them are great and some of them are horrible, but I'm not doing it for anyone else, for myself.
Thanks.
Next up, we've got a question from Theolonius Fiorito.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for
Hello.
coming. I wanted to ask, at what point in your career were you able to step into television?
It happened early on for me. I was really fortunate. Just a series of things just worked out. Like, I think I started, and probably like two years after I started, I had done like 3 or 4 television programs. It's just luck. I mean, it's just, there's so many comics, there's so many people who are capable and so many people who are good enough. talented, and there's like, 3% of spots. So if you're fortunate enough to be in a situation where you get one of those, it's a lot of luck, and your preparation after you've been chosen is what you do with it. But there's a lot of times, like you see in the world of comedy on any level, in any plane, any state, in any country, in any place, you're going to have comics who, with little preparation and little talent, get better opportunities than someone who's much more seasoned. And there's no reason for it other than that person just got a shot.
Well, to get at least your first shot, were you like, did you have some kind of commercial agent, or was it luck, just fully they reached out to you, or you submitted to something like blind?
Well, I mean, it depends. For each show, it was just like when I Kimmel, they were new, they needed comics, and I was there, and I was like, I'll do it. So I was lucky. And with the night show, they told me no for 11 years. They said, you're not right for this show. You're never going to do the show. It's not something that we're going to do here. And then I literally was asked to be on it 3 times and didn't even go on 3 times, but I was paid 3 times because they ran out of time. And then I finally went on like 11 years after I first submitted. And, it was just, I have an email from them above my desk, and it's like, basically it's just saying, you please stop bugging us. It's like, you will not do the show. Find another show. This is not one. And I was like, nope, there's the show I'm doing.
That's inspiring.
Great.
Next up, we got a question from Glenn Sias.
Well, quite honestly, from what it sounds like, some of my questions have been answered. Like you said, it's just about luck, and I guess it's just getting out there doing multiple mics. I guess because you never know who you're going to run into. Is what you're saying, basically.
I mean, I think the key component to all stand-up is writing and performing, and there's nothing else. And at the beginning of your career, there is no bad stage time. It's every opportunity that you can have. It's every mic. It's every whatever. And I think what's just as important as working on your craft and trying to get good and undeniable and next level is and so many comics don't do this. It's like you have to be nice to the other comics, because these are your friends. These are the people going through the exact same thing you're going through. And quite honestly, this is a person who could get an opportunity that you might not get. And if you're cool to this person and you are helpful to them, and they all of a sudden get a big break and they have a chance to bring someone along, the odds of them offering you some assistance because you've been cool and helpful increase significantly than if you're like, that guy took my masturbation joke. Fuck him. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Fuck that wanker.
Yeah.
So, where were you pitching it? What channels were you shooting those emails out to that you were getting you those rejection emails? And like, is that the way to go? Is email the way to go? You mentioned that you had specifically received an email back.
I mean, I don't know anymore what the process is. I don't even necessarily know if late night television has comedy anymore. I mean, everything is just so like, Jimmy Fallon is so like, hey, we're here with the leader of the free world. We're talking about communism. Let's play flip up. Come on, buddy. So it's like there's not a lot of stand-up going on those different shows, and Corden doesn't put them on, and Kimmel barely does. So it's just different. Yeah. It's a different time. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, it's persistence, and the squeaky wheel does get the grease on occasion. And it's just, if you're able to maintain the level of tenacity in your irritating approach to bugging someone to get something throughout your career, you'll succeed without question. But eventually I got to a point where I'm like, I don't feel comfortable texting and calling someone twice a day if I'm not fucking them. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just unnecessary, and it's not something I'm comfortable with. So then you take the approach of, I know I'm good enough, I know I'm capable, I know I'm putting on a great show, but I'm not going to be one of the 20 people calling him constantly. And for that, that's the choice I've made for me, and that's the choice that the 28 have made for them. I've absolutely been that guy. Absolutely been that guy 100%. I just kind of grew out of it.
Fair enough. So let's ask a question deserving of a seasoned writer. And it's the question that everyone is wondering about. How is the pandemic going to affect the writers' rooms? There used to be this. It was always this little shitty little shittiest little room, and they kind of just packed everyone in there with like no one, least of all the people in there, cared anything about hygiene. How are writers' rooms changing in a post-pandemic world?
I think you're seeing a lot of Zoom writing rooms. I think you're seeing a lot of coming back. I mean, the last show I was staffed on, we were on set. The season before, we were not. And I started on a show yesterday, and the first 2 weeks are all remote. So I'm just working from home for the first 2 weeks, and then it's travel for 4 days, and then it's more stuff from home, 2 days on set. So I think it's going to be, it depends on the show. It depends on the show and how strong of an ensemble writing cast you have. Some people need to be in the room bouncing ideas off each other. And I mean, you can still do that technically with Zoom. You're basically just, I mean, no one wants to be in a writer's room anyway.
But there's cardboard pizza.
Yeah, I mean, like, it depends. Like, some of the writers' rooms are ridiculous. Like the Simpsons writing room, their food budget is tens of thousands of dollars. They're like, there are certain shows where it's like it's the mecca of success, and it's not the case for most.
Fair enough. Not every place has a cereal bar and a ping pong table.
Yeah, it's true.
Next up, we got a question from Thelonious.
Yeah. So I don't even know, if you can remember this far back, but way back in the day when you just started and you were like trying to get on shows and you were maybe trying to book road gigs, what was your process with like, getting that first film, getting that first show? Like, do you remember how you kind of made it to that first step?
I've never, I mean, not really. I think early on, I think a lot of comics have an idea or I guess a core belief about quote unquote making it. And early on, I realized that there's no one specific thing that would be considered making it. It's sort of a culmination and a Trivial Pursuit pot piece collect approach to, let's say you get on this show, so that's a pie piece, but you still all these other things you need to do, and you just kind of collect them, and then after a while, you've built yourself a pretty good resume. And I don't necessarily know if you can just I don't know what making it is anymore. I mean, I don't know what that looks like anymore.
I guess I just meant having consistent work in terms of getting consistent paid stage time.
I mean, that's a constant battle. I mean, it's like as long as when you're hot and you're on a show that's doing well, it's like it's very simple. Everyone wants to book you, but it's like that's so fleeting and it's so rare. So it's if you have an ability to sustain working constantly, you have to be hustling and you have to be talking about the 28 times a day and bugging people and calling them. So it's possible. So I mean, I've done it. I've done only this since 1999.
Oh wow, okay. And this, do you mean? I kind of meant like a physical, like as in more of like booking something like the comic strip or the improv kind of thing. I wasn't sure if you were talking about your TV show.
Oh, I was talking about TV for a show. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's like I'm here in Vegas all week. I'm doing 16 shows, I think, and it's a lot of downtime. And for my downtime, it's chill. And during the show, I just leave it all up there.
Okay, so Yeah.
I think I've successfully managed to not answer your question 3 times.
You've got a variety of non-answers there. It's very
Multiple choice wrongness.
Yeah.
You answered questions though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was ultimately helpful.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you end up getting a lot out of the relationships you formed in comedy along the way, like as kind of what I'm seeing between the lines. Is that?
It's all about just being nice. Just be nice. I mean, it's just so easy to be irritated with somebody or not like somebody or whatever. And I'm not saying that that's not a real situation, but in this business, it's all about allies. It's all about, being cool with people. I help my friends all the time. I use the same openers. Because it's just like, you got to be loyal to the people you're loyal to.
How are the situations that you're writing jokes for in a show like Beat Shazam or The Chase, where it's all these formulated situations? Like, how are you given a situation to write and told to write a joke for? What is that process like specifically for a semi-scripted, like a reality TV, like things where you're writing jokes for something where anything can happen? What's unique about that writing process as opposed to writing for something that is wholly concrete and more monologue?
Okay, well, monologue writing, they have to take shape. They have to have an arc. They have to have a beginning, middle, and end, and they sort of have to thematically connect with each other, and they have to have perfect segues, and it's got to be lean, and it's got to be very brief, and it's got to have the appropriate economy of words. When you're writing for reality TV, you don't actually write. You just you create scenarios. And you're whereas for reality TV situation, like let's say it's a prank show, you're like, all right, we got the girls, they're at the beach, they're fishing, and one of them catches a scuba diver. And it's just like, then go. And that's pretty much all you can do. And while it's going on, while you're watching and they're in, or as the scene plays out, you can pitch them questions and be like, let's say you're working with like Beth, Karen, and Dave. You're like, and Dave's talking to a scuba guy. And the scuba guy's like, well, what the fuck, man? How'd you catch me? And then I would toss, well, we shouldn't be swimming where the fish are, like something idiotic. And then it would just to provoke a reaction. And when it comes to scripted, you have to have everything mapped out. You have to have an entire roadmap. You have to have all the background. You have to have all the minutia, all of the different tones, the elements, the personality, the emotions, the physical background, all of these different things, and everything's accounted for. So stylistically, it's always pretty different.
Nice. It's like writing a series of improv games with an arc sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when I write, when I do my joke exercise in the morning, I have 3 websites I go to, and I'll just try to see if I can hit the headline and write a joke off the headline. I won't read the story. And then, just to go through the exercises. And it's like, and that's basically like what, you have a great monologue writer like a Brian Kiley who's written Conan's monologues for 20 plus years. He writes so perfectly in Conan's voice that sometimes when you hear him do stand up, you're like, you think it's Conan.
Fair enough. Yeah. What exercises can you do to, if you you're about to have to write in a very, very specific, like known voice, like for example, Jamie Foxx, like, or maybe you're transitioning into writing. What do you do to prime yourself for writing for that voice? Like, are there any exercises you do? Like, do you listen to them on a podcast or think of them in your, what do you do?
Yeah, it was interesting. Jamie's not from this earth. He's so talented. He was hard to prepare for because he just goes. He just goes. So he's also those people who doesn't like written out jokes. He likes scenarios, so he can act his way in it. So when I'm like, and he's interesting, if he doesn't like a joke, and it's a really interesting character study on comedy. Because here you have one of the funniest people, one of the most talented at everything. And he'll tell a joke, and sometimes like open micer, if he doesn't get the big, huge ocean of response right away, he hates the joke. He wants it cut. It's like, all right. And then other times I've seen him just like take 2 words and just do perfection.
I have never seen a hotter television audience in my life, like hot, like, you know, like a hot crowd, than on Beat Shazam. And I was wondering what if there's any sort of like the warm up act in there must be incredible. Like what's going on in the? It's Jamie. It's just that Jamie Foxx energy getting everyone.
He has a baby grand piano on the stage. And he'll come out early. He'll just start singing people, and he'll start talking, and he'll bring his friends, and they'll just jam. And so it's Jamie having a great time.
It's the most fun energy on a TV game show that I've seen in ages. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next up, Lachlan, did you have a question?
Yeah. So this question isn't about making it, but it's kind of like about before that. I guess I'm wondering how a person would go from being someone who's just sort of interested in comedy, who's put in a lot of time into it, to somebody who can like actually feel like they're getting somewhere, like they could get opening act jobs and that sort of thing. If you have any advice on
how much time it would take?
Well, no, more on the transition from somebody who's slugging away, like to someone who can actually not get a big break, but a little break of saying, oh, you can do 15 minutes to open for me.
Yeah, I mean it's repetition, and it's repetition, and some people take to it sooner than others, and some people are better than other people. And since comedy's so subjective, it's hard. Some people go over than other people. I mean, to be really good, you're the only person who knows when you're really good. And you have the comedians' mistakes early on, like how much it's such a dick measuring contest when it's like the how much can you bench of like it's like how many minutes do you have, it's like how much time can you do, and it's like it doesn't matter. It's just you just should be good at what you're doing, So if it takes you a year, then it takes you a year. If it takes 6 months, it takes you 6 months. But it's just each person is different.
Okay.
I think sometimes it's like looking for the advice on the best direction to scratch your scratch off lottery ticket if you want to win. Right. Like I think you just have to keep keep playing the lotto, keep putting in the work time and again. Sometimes that's I've never heard any other advice other than put in the work.
Yeah,
and then you eventually get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a question from Thelonious.
Hey, so I had a question. As somebody who's kind of just starting, or like a beginner in general, did you have a comedy coach? Like I know some people have like comedy coaches, and that can mean different things. But did you have anything like that?
Well, no, I took a stand-up class for my first class. For the purpose of learning the rules. And then once I knew the rules, I was like, okay, now I can play with the rules. But I 100% took a joke writing class / stand-up class. It was like 4 weeks long or 5 weeks long. And it was very beneficial. And the rest is just kind of process of, I guess, trial and error.
Okay. So you didn't have anyone that you worked with like over that first year or anything like that? Yeah, like a mentor. Yeah.
I think like my friend Marty and I, when we started, we kind of just like, you have your friend who you run jokes by, and it's just, you hold each other accountable, and you decide that you're both going to do the work. But like I was a little different than most of the people that I came up with. It's like my work ethic was kind of out there. I mean, I am a crazy person when it comes to dedication, when it comes to determination, when it comes to doing the work and getting things done. It's just like I'll outwork most people who are funnier than me because I will outwork them.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
speaking about things that take a lot of work, you've done some pretty incredible musical comedy, and I was wondering what your favorite thing about that? What makes you enjoy that? Honestly, restrictive formula. That what makes you enjoy the restrictions of that?
Well, I want to make sure I understand the question. So the restrictive formula of musical comedy?
Musical comedy, it just has as a type of comedy and as a type of thing, it just has more. It has a few more. I would say it has a few more restraints on it, like on how like you can do it. If you're going to do, you have to like have rhyming punchlines at the end of quatrains sometimes, depending on what you do. I was wondering if there's something to that puzzle that you enjoy, or if it's something else that makes you enjoy musical comedy so much.
No, I mean it's just fun. I mean, I don't. It's like, yeah, there's restrictions to it, but my stuff's so short. It's like I just kind of manipulate music theory into the joke, and to the required reaction about like I'll play certain things in specific keys and majors and minors and augmented stuff to get the desired. Because it's music so easy to program. It's the easiest way to program someone's emotion. Like if you look at the scene in Titanic when the boat's sinking. Now, without the music, and they're like, if you just turn on the news and they show footage of that boat sinking just like that with no music, you're like, holy shit, these people are so dead. But they scored it, and the score was in a major key. So you're like, you don't think about, oh my God, these people are dying in ice water right now. You're like, this music's amazing. Oh, wow, look at how that crane killed that dude. It's like, because your brain is not allowing you. Now, had scored it in a minor key, it would have had an entirely different reaction. And the same thing with the Celine song, major key. And it's like, it's a no-brainer. So I think, yeah, there are restrictions in music comedy, but that's why I choose to, in a 45-minute set, I'll do about 15 minutes of music now, and I'll do the fun stuff for me. And it's short, it's catchy, and it's gone.
Great answer.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone else in the audience here is interested, we do a monthly all musical comedy workshop. The fourth Wednesday of every month is an all musical workshop where same workshop fundamentals apply. You're given a random word for the first segment, and you have to write a song about it in this situation, and then pull something from the back catalog that you want to test out and workshop for the second half. I'd like to invite anyone who wants to participate in that. Check it out on Facebook. Search for the Comedy Workshop. Next up, we've got. Do we have any other questions? Glenn, did you have a question?
Yeah. You ever have days where you just don't feel like writing at all? Because I've been going through that lately. It's like I don't know what to write and this and that. Just don't feel like doing anything. You ever have those days where you have like a writer's block or anything like that?
Yeah, I will give you a trick for that. And it's really hard, but it works. And it's such an interesting way to get your brain to start thinking about different things. Whatever room you're in your house, like even a bookshelf behind you, what you should do is, as quickly as you're capable of doing it, touch a specific item. Like, okay, so you have this would be water, phone, sunglasses. Okay, that's obviously what they are. Now what you should do is you should go through each different item and call it something entirely different. Chicken salad sandwich, the University of Wisconsin, a guy on a bicycle. It sounds so silly, but it trains your brain to start looking at things differently. And after about the fifth or the sixth one, it starts getting really fucking hard. But that's what it's going to do for the purpose of you when you're in a writer's block situation. It's going to open you to an opportunity to think about a situation completely differently. And sometimes that leads to an exit.
Oh, okay, cool.
That is such an awesome tip.
It's an old Second City trick.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's awesome.
Do you prefer typing or old school pen and pencil, or pencil and paper? How does stuff come out of your hands and head?
My playbook for stage is all pen, but it's like all just like trigger words. So like, for example, I'll have like, it'll just say Applebee's, and then I'll know I have a 3-minute bit, and I'll know all the breakdowns in it. But if I didn't have that, I wouldn't do it. When I jokes, it's kind of on the computer, and the scripted stuff is on the computer. But actual jokes, I prefer pen to paper.
Okay. So that's like the piece of paper you would have brought up with you on stage, right? Where you've got a bit about Applebee's written.
I look at comedy different than some people. Yes, I use it as I look at when you're in front of an audience. I look at it like you're the head coach or you're the quarterback, and you have a book of plays. I have these plays, and I don't want to play the same game every week. I don't want to do the same show every week. I want to feel the audience. I want to dive in. I want to get their vibe, and I want to take this opportunity to sort of like be like, this is the play that's going to work best here. This is going to work here. And so where some people are like, oh, he's looking at his notes. I'm like, no, fuck face. I'm actually like calling the game. And I wouldn't do it anyway because it's great for feel.
When you mentioned that, it put me into a weird flashback panic where I've woken up and in the hotel, and there's just one word written on the napkin, and it'll just say like glasses, and I'll go, what does this mean? And I forget my angle.
Yeah, I do that too.
I need to be so specific with my notes. Thelonious, you had a question?
Yes, I have a question. This is just kind of random, but I was wondering, do you have an emotion that drives your joke writing? So like, do you like get like from like humiliating memories, or maybe like happy moments, or what? Do you have one emotion that typically dictates your writing style?
No, it's all what I hear, and it's all what I see, and it's not. I've been writing long enough to where it's like I can sit down if I go to work tomorrow from 9 to 4, and I know that I have to start writing jokes from 9 to 4. I'll sit down and I'll start writing jokes. It's not like a feel thing at that point because it's work, it's jokes, and it's like I know joke theory. But when it comes to me, it's I don't really sit down to write a joke for me. I let it come to me, and either like what I hear or what I notice or something I observe, and then that's going to give me, the best thing. It's like, for example, okay, here's a weird way to get to a joke. So I saw someone jokingly, someone sent me a picture of a gender reveal party, and it was both people were sad, and it was like blue and pink smoke came up, and I was like, oh, that's funny. So I was like, well, what if the smoke was white, and does that mean that you have to be the new pope? Like that, is how I got to that joke based on just seeing a picture. Now, obviously, when I do that joke live, there's a big setup, it's painted differently and whatever, but it works because it's just bizarre and what I observed.
That pope joke is infallible.
Okay.
Thank you. Cool.
All right. Glenn? A question? Sorry.
Yeah. Do you have any like go-to comics that you watch that inspire you, or who inspired you, or who was your favorite comic? I
don't have a favorite. I have so many favorites. I watch stand-up anytime I can. I try not to watch the newer people a lot, but that's not because I don't respect them. It's just that I try to watch comics who are better or who've been doing it longer. Not to say that new people don't have some cool new things to be open to, because they absolutely do. But like, I like pure joke writers. I like storytelling. Like, I mean, I can't not watch Chappelle. I can't not watch David Tell or Woody Allen or Dangerfield or Wendy Liebman or just like although I don't find him and his jokes funny, I think Howie Mandel's stage presence he's like a Beatle. He's so fucking good on stage. And it's just, I guess I find inspiration in almost most comedy.
Oh, nice.
What were some of your early influences? Like, who were the comedians that when you were young inspired you, and you were like eager to grab up their vinyls or MP3s or whatever you could get? Or
strangely enough, not really anyone, because I got into words before I got into comedy, and I liked the wordplay of Elvis Costello, and I liked, the puns of Eminem and the like Evan Dando, the Lemonheads, and just like tragically hip stuff, and just like lyrics, words before comedy. Started getting into comedy, it was Dangerfield first, and then everybody else, but mostly people who write.
you can only watch one trilogy or saga or body of movies like Lord of the Rings or The Matrix or Star Wars for the rest of your life, but you can watch the whole series of films, but you're limited to that series of films for the rest of your life. What series of films is it?
I mean, I think smart money would have to be on Star Wars, because with Disney spending $3 billion in the franchise, they're going to continuously put out content. So I think that's going to be my only hope for new stuff.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Good pick. Good
Yeah.
quantity. It's a deep well.
Nice.
Lachlan, do you got any more questions? Oh,
Yes. How do you like prioritize for you? Like, I don't know much about your career, but I know a lot of people. I assume a lot of people try to go to New York and work like the Comedy Cellar, and a lot of people have these existences that are largely like doing 15-minute sets throughout the night, different places, versus touring and headlining and doing like an hour. Which of those sort of two things is most appealing to you? The sort of 15 minutes or like the hour?
I don't think I've ever even looked at it like that. I think I've always looked at the foundation, because it just, to me, the most important thing is the joke. I don't get caught up in the time of how much time, like a lot of people when I was coming up would be like, I was like, why'd you go so fucking fast? And it's like, oh, you get all these jokes in. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you just do jokes that are good, funny, and like, even if you only do one, it will kill with it instead of rushing through 30. So I think both have perks.
Lost audio.
I'm gone.
I can still hear you.
Okay. And I'm just saying, I think the joke is the most important thing. The quantity of time doesn't really mean that much to me.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe to follow up, I was thinking not so much the
I-
joke, but the sort of like the
Oh,
lifestyle of the 15-minute spots versus the touring around. And
Touring's way better. Touring's great. You're on planes and buses, you have security, and there's arenas, and meeting thousands of people, and people are laughing at you in 15-minute spots. You're having 4 hours to fucking Red Deer in the middle of nowhere and just fucking doing stupid 15-minute spots.
Right, thanks.
Thelonious. Oh.
Hey, I wanted to know if you have any advice for a very up and coming comic in New York City.
Right. Just write and perform as much as you can. Just write.
Audio.
Just write. I know. I can hear me still.
Yeah.
Audio.
I can hear you.
Dude.
Okay. Yeah, just write. That's it. It's writing. There's no other thing. It'll take you everywhere.
Okay, then I have a follow up for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really. It's not really a follow up. Just write as much as you can. But I'm, 2 hours a day. That should be. I mean, at least that for me. Doing more than that is.
No, I don't
tough.
necessarily mean write 2 hours a day. I don't care if it's one joke a day. Just write, just whatever, and like rewrite, reanalyze, refigure, go and it's like if you sit down every day and you're not on a job and getting paid to write 2 hours a day, you're not going to be as fruitful in your farming as you'd think, because you're just forcing yourself to come up with stuff. And at that point in your career, you don't have the comedy, no disrespect, the comedy chops to be a seasoned, disciplined writer of jokes for 2 straight hours. You have to experience, you're walking down the street and you see a piano fall on top of some dude, and then it's just like a hat and feet. You're like, that's hilarious. Obviously, bad example, but those are the things that you observe that you pull your comedy from.
I think there's a book called like How to Write Funny by the guy who started The Onion, and he has a similar thought process. It's like, instead of like Seinfeld's like don't break the chain, you have to write 10 jokes a day thing. He says write 10 funny ideas in your notes every day. And that for me is a lot easier, because the 10 new jokes is like, they're garbage by the time I get to like 3.
Right. But and also at the same time, it's like, how fucking relatable is Seinfeld? Who on earth can relate with that guy's life? I mean, you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You haven't done anything of merit since the late, 80s, early 90s, and you're worth so much fucking money. And all you do is show up at comedy clubs, and you're just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, no one gets that guy's life. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's very successful, but I can't sit down and be like, dude, I totally.
What's the deal with hollowing out a brownstone to park your car in?
Yep. He's a successful dude.
Yeah, he's got a unrelatable.
Well, thanks for that makes it feel good too, a little bit.
Good. Is there any way we can do one more? Because I have a work call happening at 12 that I got to jump on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is anyone else dying to jump in with one last question here?
Yeah, I have a question.
All right.
I'm not familiar with who you are. I saw your marquee on Facebook at the Tropicana and stuff, but what else have you done, or where could I see you on TV, or what is it where you're actually working, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm mostly behind the camera guy now. I write on a bunch of game shows. I wrote on Chase. I wrote on Beat Shazam, American Idol, America's Got Talent. I just work on a bunch of shows, and I was just in a movie that's on Netflix called Faith and Love, where I played Seinfeld's Michael Rick's kid. Yeah, I'm just a working comic friend. That's it, that's all. Nothing. I mean, you wouldn't be like, I know that guy.
Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, no, I was just wondering, because we have Q&A questions, things, and who is this guy? So, cool.
Exactly. I'm a mystery.
If you haven't checked out the shows that he writes on, The Chase on ABC and Beat Shazam on Fox and Comedy Central, they are some of the best, most fun, most action-packed, best-paced shows on television right now. Highly recommend them both. They are fantastic. As much fun as you can have watching a game show that you can kind of play along with for both of them. There's so many other game shows where it just kind of flies by you. This is a great fun game. These are both great fun shows to watch, and we have a lot of that to thank for our guest today, J. Chris Newberg.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. We do these Q&As often. Take a look out. We broadcast them on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and look out to join our community. We do every single night. We do a comedy workshop at 10 p.m. where we assign random topics, and you can, work on sharpening up their chops. Everyone, I'm Jester at Lind. We thank you to J. Chris Newberg, Lachlan, Glenn, and Thelonious. Have a great night.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you guys. Have a nice one.